a topic which is of most interest to many of the people. Okay. And what I did is I put this presentation together based on the Jain Universe explanation in Tattvat Sutra, Chandra Pragnapti, Surya Pragnapti, Dvip Pragnapti, all these things together. And important things, or I would say fortunate things, is whether it is a Digambar literature or Shvetambar literature, 98%, 99% description is the same. Okay. So what I'm going to do today, how our scripture has explained both Digambar and Shvetambar, and if there is a few percent differences, I will be able to explain you. Here are the two sect differences. Sthanakvasi and Shvetambars, they are all same descriptions. Okay, so there is no difference from that point of view. Okay, one thing I would like to request all of you, okay, whatever the universe knowledge you have, whatever you studied in the school, college, universities, any place, okay, if you just erase it from your mind for this presentation, then you can enjoy it. But if you try to compare it, every time I make a statement and you will be comparing it, then you will not enjoy this presentation. Okay? That's the very fundamental things I tell the people. Okay, please, if you want to understand Jain Universe or Jain geography, or how are our scripture, and these are all our scripture. Even Tattva Sutra, we consider it scripture. It's close to the scriptures anyway. But Chandra Pragnapti, Surya Pragnapti, Dvip Pragnapti, these are all our scriptures. It's all Upangagams. Okay? So, what you want to be, just erase what you know anything about the current universe structure, and whatever the knowledge and research and what you're reading about it, all right, you just put aside right now, okay? And try to understand what I am trying to tell you, okay? That is the things you got to keep in mind. Now, second thing, we are going to start it, and we finished 4 Anuyugs, okay? Just before this. And we told you about the story, their limitation, the Charnanuyog, mathematics, Ganitanuyog. In Ganitanuyog, that's where the Jain Universe explanation fits. If you don't notice it here, the second, okay, structure and function of the universe. So all these Ganitanuyog things, that what you are seeing it is the knowledge base that existed at that time, 2,500 years ago. When you ask the people, Mahavira's time, this is what they knew about the universe at that time. Okay? So keep that thing in mind. It is not like current knowledge. It's not going to match with the current knowledge, but 2,500 years ago, you remember that time, okay? There was no electricity, there was no computer, there was no nothing, all right? At that time, how this knowledge, it was like a kind of a common database in Indian culture, not only Indian culture, but if you look at the Christianity, if you look at Judaism, Islam, everybody has a similar type of the understanding of the universe. Okay, so it was not like only Jain, but Jain, Hindu, Buddhist, and all the Western religion. They all believe, no, some variation, but similar things, what I am going to tell you, what is in the Jain scripture. Problem generally comes is because we believe it is the all Jain Agam literature, it is a Tirthankar Vani, and Tirthankar has a Keval Gnan. So how can Tirthankar make this kind of the statement about the universe, okay, which we can verify today? And that's where the stress is among the Jain scholars and everybody that exists, okay? Then they think is Tirthankar was wrong, how, and that we cannot accept it. And what I have at the end provided some explanation, which you have to think about it, see whether that makes sense. I don't have any really answer. I got my opinion. That's the only point I'm trying to tell you. But it comes into the Karnana Yoga, and in Karnana Yoga, it is mathematics. It just tells you Earth is like this, that's it. You don't ask any question about it in Karnana Yoga. 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, that is the kind of the structures and things. Where is the heaven? Where is the hell? Where everything is. And it gives you a detailed description in the universe when we going through this presentation. All right. Now, here is the things. Jain Universe, okay, which is a space, Akash, okay, the space. The whole, the universe, what Jainism saying, it is a big, empty, big space. And this space is divided into 2 groups, okay, 2 parts. One is called Lokakash, another is Alokakash. So if you look into it, this entire universe, it's a one big things. It divided into 2 parts, Lokakash and Alokakash. Let me talk to you first about Alokakash. Alokakash is an empty void, infinite empty void. It's an empty space, completely empty space, infinite. Okay. So, and when I use the word empty, means there is not a single soul exists there. Not a single particles exist there. It is empty. Okay, period. So nobody can go there. Nobody can you cannot even go over there. So it is that kind of the concept. We have it that there is and this is like 99%. Only 1% it is Lokakash. So it is like comparatively, the Alokakash is a vast, vast thing where there is nothing. And Lokakash, which is where Jeev and Ajeev exist. So we are existing from respect to the whole universe. What I mean by it's a very small space. But once I explain you that small space, how big it is, then you realize, is it a small one that is so big that Alokakash, which is infinite times bigger, you can imagine how the comparison point of view. Alokakash is infinite times bigger than the Lokakash, and Lokakash is the one where every soul in the universe exists, where every non-living substance or jiva that exists, and its height is 14 Rajlok. Now, Rajlok is a unit of measurement. And I will go through, first of all, you got to understand how big these measurements are. The 14 Rajlok is the total height of the Lokakash. Okay, let me go to the next chart. Just universe, it is divided into two groups, Lokakash and Alokakash. There is nothing to talk about Alokakash. It is empty void. Okay, there is not a single living being exists there. There is not a single particle exists there. And that's why it is just a conceptual things. And we even cannot talk anything about that, Alokakash, because we cannot go there. Nobody can go there. Okay, it is kind of a watertight, whatever you call it, but you cannot cross the border between Lokakash and Alokakash. Okay, and that's why this is we are all future slides, what you are going to see now coming, we are going to talk only on Alokakash, because there is nothing to talk about Lokakash, okay, for practical purpose. Now, this is Jain. I am using practical purpose. This is the Lokakash, okay, the structure, and I will go through detail each one. So sometimes I may use interchangeable Jain Universe and Jain Lokakash, but for all these presentation purpose, Jain Universe is one I'm calling Jain Lokakash, at least. Okay, so that way you understand why universe is much bigger than the Lokakash. Okay, but that's for I explain you that this detailed description, that one. Now, the height things, if you can see here from top, from here to all the way here, that height one is, like I told you, is a 14 Rajlok. And how does the 14 Rajlok distribute? We will go through each slide and we'll understand it. But this is a middle one, where you call written, no, it is written in Gujarati because that's how the drawing I got it, okay? But it is called middle world, okay, right in the center, okay? This thing is right in the center, okay? Above it is called Urdhwa, upper world, okay? And below it, it is called Adho, okay? So we are in the middle. We are on the land, just a surface in the middle, okay? And right above us, it is Urdhwa, and right below the ground, okay? When you start digging our ground, all right, you are going to Adho. In Adho, hell exists. In Urdhwa, the heaven exists, and ultimately the liberated soul, moksha, also exists in the upper lok. So we are in the middle. Upper world is where the Devlok exists, and there are many categories of the Devlok. We will go through it. And below us, that's where the hell exists. In a general sense, I'm talking. There are more things exist there, and we will also study and read all about that. Okay? and we are in the middle. And middle one is where the human being lives. Okay, animal lives. All Tiryaj, okay, the movable living beings. Everybody lives right on the middle world, right on the land, basically. All right. So this is just kind of the idea what I'm telling you. Now, here are some measurements. And I told you the Rajlok concept. That is there is another name, it's called Rajju. Let's go to the bottom part of the slide. Rajlok or Rajju. Okay. Now, what is one Rajlok? The definition I gave you from the scripture, a distance traveled by the heavenly being, heavenly God. Okay. In 6 months, if heavenly God is traveling, flying up and down, and I've just assumed only thing he's only flying from top going down. Okay, a distance traveled by Dev or a heavenly God in 6 months at the rate of this many yojans, 2,057,152 yojan in one samay. Now, what is samay? Samay is the smallest unit of time. So I assume, okay, 1/4 second. Seconds, 1/4 part is samay. So if you look into it, if a heavenly God is traveling in one samay, 2,057,152 yojan in one samay, that is a distance traveled in 6 months, traveled by God in 6 months. So if you look into it, some heavenly God is traveling down from up, okay? And in one samay or 1/4 second, this many yojan, 2 million plus yojan, in 6 months, it is called one Rajlok or one Rajju. Now, what is yojan? That one I have defined up on the first half of the slide. What is, okay, there is a two definition you find in the scripture or in the literature. Okay. Now, and I just explained both of them. This is old time, old technique, one dund or bow. See, if you notice in the old time, it's a bow and arrow or the dund. One dund or one bow is considered approximately 6 feet. All right. There are 2,000 dund or 2,000 bows. It is called one course. So one course, it is nothing but if you consider one dund is 6 feet, 2,000 is 12,000 course, 12,000 feet. And 12,000 feet is the kind of a one course. These are the measurement. And 4 course is equal to 1 yojan. That is the one book explains that. And roughly, I calculated maybe it is about 9 miles. So 1 yojan, for approximation purpose, I'm saying about 9 miles. All right, it is considered 1 yojan. And here this heavenly God is traveling more than 2 million yojans in one samay, in 1/4 second. And now you can imagine for 6 months he's been traveling, coming from heaven down. For 6 months, whatever distance it traveled, it says, no, it traveled one Rajlok. And that one Rajlok and the Lokakash dimension is 14 Rajlok from top to bottom. The 14 Rajlok includes liberated souls, means moksha, heaven. We are on the surface, then all the hells below. Okay, there are 7 hells. It is in the bottom 7 Rajloks. So now you know how Jainism has really defined everything. Where is hell? Where is heaven? Where is moksha? And where human being and animals also reside on the surface, right in the middle. Okay? So this is how the knowledge existed at that time, 2,500 years ago, when all these scriptures are compiled. Okay? Orally compiled. And then later on it got documented. All right? So just to bear with me with all the slides, we will send you the presentation. So you know it, you have it. But meantime, if you have any question, okay, you can interrupt it and I can explain you. I don't want you to keep moving, not understanding it. Then it is a waste of your time and my time. But your question should be only restricted to this slide. Okay? Keep that thing in the mind. You can send message to Sejal. And if you have any questions, you can do it, because it will be little better as long as you control and don't drag to different things at this time, which we will do it at the end of the presentation. All right?